All right, let's continue on. And the hope is we can write these 7 routines by 10 o'clock. And then Luke will be here and the rest of the period will be lab. Now, I'm going to tell you this, 2 things. First of all, hopefully this makes sense. I need a first name because I'm going to stuff that in right here. Then I need a last name and I'm going to stuff it in. The reason I'm telling you that is this must return a string. This must return a string. This must return a string. And this must return a string. They must. That's just the way they're set up. All right? I'm not doing any validation. So whatever you put in for a first name, last name, ID number, or department, that's what you get. Now, this has got to return a double. This has got to return a decimal. And this will return a decimal. These 2, remember how yesterday we did that try parse? That ain't going to work here. We don't have that out variable and all that. We don't have that. Probably could have added it, but we didn't. So I'm going to write this and those in a little different way. The good news is, literally in 5 minutes, we're going to have these 4 done because they're virtually all the same one. So I'm going to recommend that you do the first one, copy it down, the second one, copy it to the third one, etc. So the first one is input first name. I'm going to put it right below where I am, right up above this remove existing array list element. So private, static, void, I'm sorry, it's not a void, it's a string, input first name. I get that error because I'm not returning anything yet. All right, let's be nice, put a little comment up above. This method inputs the first name. How about the employee's first name? No validation done, because there isn't any done. All right, 3 whole lines. First, console.clear. Next, write. Please input first name for, not forced name, not inut, input first name for employee plus return read line. Now give me just a second here, okay? Just give me a second, because I'm gonna actually copy this 3 times. There's one, and this one's gonna say last name. When you copy it, guys, please look up on the screen here. Get rid of that console.clear. You only want it before the first one. And then change this to last. Last. All right, so now that one's done. Copy it again. And this will say ID number. And this last one will say department. Again, get rid of that clear. All right, so I should have those done. Notice all my squigglies for the first 4 are gone. See that? So I'll leave the first name up there so you're sure you have it. Again, you only want the console.clear for the first name. So I said we had about 100 or so lines to type. That's 30 of them right there, because there was a lot of copy and paste. So you can see the first two are now on the screen. You got those first two? Let's go to the next two then. So like I said, we've got about 100 lines to type. We've typed around 30. If you look up on the screen here, this may or may not make sense, but these two routines, this one and this one, are virtually the same routine, these two, except one does hours worked and returns a double. The other does hourly rate and returns a decimal. Did you hear me? So I'm going to write the first one, then I'm going to copy the whole routine, all 25 lines, and then just change everything that said hours worked to hourly rate, and change everything that says double to decimal. Okay? And remember yesterday when we wrote this? Remember that? Calculate gross pay? The one we do today is exactly the same. Exactly.
The same logic to it?
It's everything. It's just if you work less than or equal to 40 hours, you get no overtime. If you work more than 40 hours, figure out your overtime. Give them regular pay plus their overtime. That's it. So I'm going to write this one first. Input hours worked. I'm going right underneath where we just did the department. And I'm going to say this method, you know, because I'm so anal about this, inputs. This method inputs the hours worked and numeric and range validation done. You go, I don't know what that means. That's what we're going to do right now. Private, static, void. Sorry, it's not a void, it's a double. Input hours worked. Okay. Now, I'm going to put something in here. Don't type this in. Okay? I want to show you the error that we're going to get. I'm purposely going to show you the error. So I'm going to put in here, write, please enter hours worked. Okay? Then I'm going to say, what do we call that? Hours equals convert dot to double read line. Okay. Now, where's that hours? I thought we did that before. Let's see. Oh, okay. Go up to the top of your program. Up here where we made, it is static. Why doesn't it like it? Static double hours. What doesn't it like here? Static double hours. Oh, how about that? Okay, so I'm going to this is going to give me an error. I'm just going to return 0.0. Okay, now notice I've got no squigglies there. I've got no squiggly here. I'm going to comment these two lines out, and I want to show you the error that we're going to get. Okay, so I run this. It's going to look different now because we got more code in here. Okay, so here's our menu. I'm going to put in a 1. All right, enter the first name, Jeff. Last name, Scott. Well, I left the console.clear in there. I should have removed that. Okay, so the ID number 12345. Department, let's just say IT. Now, for the hours worked, I'm going to run it, and this is going to work. This is going to work. I'm going to put in here 40. No problem. Okay, but I'm going to run it again. Now I'm going to put a bad number in there. Okay? Program blows up, and it gives me, it says, it's giving me a format exception. See this? Input was not in the correct format. So I have to account for that. All right, so what's the big deal? Well, first of all, I want to come back to here because I left the console clear in. That one I want. That one I don't want there. I don't want that. That'll fix that. All right. So now let's start writing this the right way. This was the wrong way to write it. We're going to write it the right way right now. Stop the run. Okay, now you can start typing if you want to. So string. This is hours worked, and I just call this hours str for hours string. All right. Now, we looked at this earlier in the semester. We're going to use what's called a try-catch block. And it's going to give me a chance to explain everything in a try-catch block to you, which I like. So I'm going to say try, write, please input hours worked between min hours and max hours and now what I'm going to do, if you look up on the screen here, I'm going to say now put that number in like we did before, hours equal read line, but I'm going to say in here, now attempt to convert it to a decimal. I'm sorry, to a double. Right? This may fail. So what do we want to do if it fails? We can try to catch all sorts of exceptions in here. The one we just said was a format exception. I think that one of this is going to work. I did a different exception, but I think that the one I just showed you is the correct one. We want to return our default hours. All right, we're not done yet. We still got an if statement to go. But play computer here. Look at this. This should write on the screen, please input hours between 0 and 84. That's what this does. Then it waits for us to enter something. After we enter it, it attempts to convert it to a double. If it can't, says, forget you, I'm just going to return 40. Does that make sense? So I'll put a comment in here, I guess. Attempt to input a number between 0 and 84 for hours worked. Because that's what we're doing. And you may or may not remember, so I'll put this in as a comment. 40 hours is the default. Okay? Now that's going to handle that. But if we get down to here, please look up on the screen. Does this make sense? If we get down to this point, we put a number in there. We don't know if it's a valid number, but we put in a number. All right? So up here, we were validating that it's numeric. So again, you want to put a little more here. So this is numeric input validation. See that? That's where we're validating that it's numeric. All right? Now, down here, input was numeric. So now perform range validation to see whether or not it's within range. So if hours is less than the min, or hours is greater than the max, I got a question for you. Look on the screen here. If they put in something non-numeric, we're just returning 40. Would it be better if I didn't do this. Would it be better if we put a right line in here that says non-numeric input setting to default value of 40? Then at least the person knows they screwed up. All right. Again, you can't account for human ignorance. People are going to make mistakes. It's going to happen. All right. This is a little strong, but so non-numeric input setting to default value of 40. All right. Now, if this is the case, it's not non-numeric, it's out of range input setting to default value of 40. Return def hours. That makes sense? If we get down to here, look on the screen. There's no else. If we get down to here, input was numeric. Input was between 0 and 84, i.e. valid input. So all we want to return is hours. It's similar to what we did yesterday, but it's not the exact same thing. We're using try-catch in here. All right. Could we have done it the same way? Probably. As I was sitting there writing this, I thought, well, this gives me the chance to go over try-catch again. Okay. I'll give you a chance to get done with that. And as soon as we do get done with that, we're going to copy that whole routine and put it in again, and that'll be our hourly rate. Well, we have to make the changes, of course. There's a total of about 365 lines, so you can see we're already at almost 200. Do you need this up or anything? Okay. Okay, you all caught up? So I'm going to grab this whole routine right from the comments, so right from line 164, grabbing every single bit of it down to the ending curly. So mine it's 164 to 193. Yours the numbers might vary a little bit. I'm going to copy it to the clipboard, hit enter twice, paste it in. I'm going to get an error. because we already have input hours worked. So I want to change this to hourly rate. Change this to hourly rate. Taken from the top. I change this to hourly rate. Look on the screen. I'm changing this to hourly rate. I'm going to change this to 250. And I'm going to change this to hourly rate. So please input hourly rate between min rate and max rate. And instead of hour string, I'm going to call it rate string. And that'll have to be, of course, instead of 2 double, a 2 decimal. And that'll be rate string. So let me leave just that up there, and hopefully you can get all that done quickly. Give me a second here. I'm just prettying stuff up there. Got all that? All right, then let's move up to the catch part here. So setting the default. Our default value here, does anybody remember? I think it was 10, but I don't know. Default rate, 15. So setting the default rate of 15. So let's see, non-numeric input. I want to return def rate, not def hours. Input was numeric, so again we got to check to make sure. Oh, look up on the screen, please. Make sure you make this one a decimal. See this at the top? It says private static double. You might have already done it. Make sure it's private static decimal. That was my error. Because double and decimal are 2 different data types. Decimal is money, and we're working with money now. So that's def rate. Oops, it'll be rate. Def rate. Input was numeric, so this will have to be rate, and this will have to be rate. That'll be rate, and that'll be rate. 15. I think that's everything. If I miss something, you see it, let me know. I wouldn't try to put something wrong in there on purpose. Oh, and if yours, because mine is still commented out, I should now be able to uncomment both of these. Oops, and I should have no errors. Input hourly rate. Oh, I didn't do the gross pay yet, so didn't I call it input hourly rate? Input. Oh, I called it input hourly rated. Oh, sorry. All right. So the only one left is to calculate the gross pay. You're caught up? All right, so I'm going to uncomment that one. And I'm a little, right now, I am a little, for lack of better words, a little spent. So I'm going to grab this one and I'm just going to copy it in. It's not long. It really isn't. So let me grab this. And right before, again, right at the bottom of the one we just did, this method calculates the gross pay. There's no validation done because there's none that needs to be done. So no validation done. All right. Oops. All right. Again, well, I guess there is some validation done. There it is. This method calculates the gross pays. Overtime hours checking is done. That's not all of it, but that's 99% of it right there. So we've got about 100 lines approximately to go. We will do that tomorrow rather than going on today. All right. When we're done. So if you're going to turn this in, it's by Friday by the time class ends. And again, on Friday, we will look at how to use Git and GitHub, and we'll talk about the electronic portfolios. Start that back up. Again, this is exactly the same as the way we did it for arrays. Exactly. That's why I copied it in. So these are our overtime hours. If we work less than or equal to 40, our gross pay is just that. There's no overtime. You already saw that yesterday. No OT pay, or no OT accrued. You didn't work any overtime. OT accrued. You worked overtime. Maybe it'd be a little easier if I put this on 2 lines. Yeah. You got this? All right. Now, don't type a thing, but just look on the screen if you would. We're going to write these tomorrow. So if you want to put those in there, you can. I comment them out because we haven't written them yet. They're not long, but if you want to put those in, you can, or else you can leave them out till tomorrow. All right, but the only other thing you've got to put in there is return gross pay. I would put those in and just comment them out like I did. And again, we will do that. So tomorrow, as soon as we start, we will write the set lowest pay, the set highest pay, the set total pay, and the set average pay. They're very short, about 10 lines long each. And then we have to, if you look on the screen here, we still have to write, oops, we still have to go in and write tomorrow also we have to write the remove and